All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. In case you are wondering who I am, my name is Antonio Bryce. I am the creator of the comic book series brand. We have raised nearly $75,000 thanks to the kindness of good folks such as yourself. But hey, you know, um, if you want to read brand, I've got a preview link to the first 21 pages of the comic. It is in the description. Also in the description is the Indiegogo link for a new project called SOS. This is volume one. It is being done through Chimera Comics with the help of Iron Sights artist Ibai Canales. And well, I have Chimera Comics here today, and I am under the impression that Mr. Canales should be joining us shortly. But Chimera, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, all right. So let's get into it. Tell me about your project.
So, SOS is a comedy action series about three brothers that are former super soldiers during World War II. They find New York is being invaded by demons from the dimension called the Abyss. They start up a monster hunting business so they can save New York and make money off their powers.
Okay, so let's see. Let me actually pull this bad boy up so people can actually see what you're working with here.
Okay.
And let's see. So Mr. Canales is handling the art duties on this. Is he doing the coloring as well, or is someone else doing it, or is it black and white? Or
It is grayscale, like Mirage Ninja Turtles, and he's handling the lettering as well.
oh wow, okay. And let's see. Let me go back up to the top. Okay, because you just launched this yesterday, I think.
Yep.
Okay, and you're at 237. Okay. So according to this, your book is 80 pages.
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow. And it doesn't appear to be very expensive. It's only $15 here as I'm seeing. And what's going on with your shipping?
It is $6 domestic, $11 Canada, and $16 international.
Interesting. Okay. That's not bad. All right, so let's get into okay. So you said it's about three brothers.
Yep. And one of them is mutated, as you can see on the left.
Yeah, I'm about to say I didn't know if he's like an elf or orc or whatever,
No.
It's an interesting take on the situation.
Similar to Beast from X-Men, he's mutated.
Does he have abilities?
Yes, they all have superhuman strength and speed. And like Wolverine, they can regenerate, so they've been around for a while. That's why they don't age. The one on the left, he has ice manipulation. The one in the middle, Magus, has electrokinesis, so he can manipulate electricity. And the one on the right, obviously, has pyrokinesis.
Aha. Okay. And so this is an example, because you said the book's grayscale. So this is an example of what that would look like.
And a bit of dark comedy in here.
Oh, that's an interesting shot here. I see our flag. And, so they're like military guys.
Yep.
Looks like. Okay. And, let me get in. Okay. Well, oh, wow. Okay. I see this monster here. I'm assuming he's a demon of some kind. Or
Yes, Magus had tossed him off the building, and he's shocked to learn that demons exist.
Okay. So let me. Oh, that's interesting. Is that just? I'm assuming this is just like a spit up or something, or is that just a layout?
It's a rough sketch, yes.
Okay. So let me see. And then I see this.
Variant cover.
You got You got gentleman I respect very highly, Mr. Alejandro Mirabal, to do a variant cover for you, which is awesome. Um, I backed his project Long Harbor, so I am. How did you link up with Alejandro?
I just saw Long Harbor about last year, and I've always wanted to work with him. I just didn't know on what. And I'm like, I just asked him, "Can you do a cover for me?" And he says, "Yeah, sure." And oh, hey, Abba.
Hola.
Well, hello, welcome to the channel, Mr. Canales.
Thank you for having me in. I'm honored to be here.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. All right, let's see, let's go. But yeah, I love this. I love this from from Alejandro. This is great. I think his art style is interesting, and that's one of the things that drew me to wanting to back Long Harbor. I thought that was a beautiful looking project.
And I'm also offering another project, Argonaut, on this campaign. If we meet $7,500, every physical backer gets this 22-page cyberpunk comic.
All right, so Argonaut #1. Okay, so this page I have right here is from Argonaut #1.
Yes, and we are 95% done with that.
So is Mr. Canales the artist on this one as well, or someone else?
Someone else, Raphael.
No, thank you. I'm overworked already as it is.
Well, I've been hearing you're working on Iron Sights too, but just some guy named Richard C. Meyer happened to mention that to me, but I did not know how much of that you could. I've heard that was the case. I mean, I think he's mentioned that publicly a few times. So
yes,
Yeah, he told me that he doesn't want me to promote Iron Sights 2 for some reason, so I'm not. I guess that's not a problem because he's got all the promotion he needs already. So
right. But like you said, yeah, I know sometimes I talk to him in private chat and he's telling me I've got this working, I've got that working, and I was like, okay, so I knew it was coming. I mean, he sounds like he's got Iron Sights 3 in the works. So
he told me I don't know how much of this I can really disclose, but he told me that he has the intention of turning Iron Sights into almost a Fast and Furious type of franchise.
Okay. But yeah, he had mentioned that he had like a idea for 3. So I was interested. I was like, okay, I got you, because that is one thing about your boy Zach. He is definitely building something here, and I like. This is an interesting shot. But this is from the other comic, right? This isn't from SOS, right?
correct.
Okay, yeah, that's a nice looking shot here with getting the brains blown up.
That's from the one with the better artist.
Oh
no. Well,
that's just me self-deprecating,
Well, I actually thought Iron Sights had, it kind of sucks you in. It was the art style was it was very typical for that type of comic, and that great cover from Kelsey Shannon I thought was incredible. Kelsey killed that cover, and the story was actually. I've heard people say different things about whether they like Jawbreakers or not, and a lot of people liked Iron Sights. They thought it was better written. I've heard that, which Richard said that people have told him that as well. So I don't know, but it seems like military type stories like Jawbreakers are in his wheelhouse too. Obviously, he's a military veteran, but for some reason, there's a lot of people like, man, I actually thought Iron Sights had a good story, and I was. If I was being honest, I actually thought the story for Jawbreakers Lost Souls was actually pretty clever. One thing I was telling him, that maybe bring, especially since he has the ear of people like Chuck Dixon, bring someone in, because I thought the story idea itself was good. There were a couple of places there where I thought he could tweak the dialogue and do, but he's gotten that feedback from a few people. So that's a good thing about Richard. He's willing to listen to critiques. So there you go. But I thought the Ironside story seems, I don't know, maybe it was more personal. It just seems like he's very excited about doing those projects. So it's good to see that you will be back on board for the upcoming volumes. So that is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, his whole business model is to repeat things that have been successful, and our previous collaboration on Ironsides 1 was successful, so he's willing to replicate it.
Absolutely. Okay, so let me go to the perks here, and this is your featured perk for SOS Volume number 1. It's only $15, and it sounds like your shipping was fairly cheap, especially on domestic. Well, you said what, $6? I think you said.
Yes, I did.
And yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and what the pay? So $15, and the page count on this is 80 pages. So that's pretty impressive. Okay,
and I'm also offering Argonaut number 1. Some people are asking, "Hey, can I just have that one?"
Okay. So you're promoting this one, but I mean, obviously you can get both together. So let me see, Argonaut number 1. But okay, so the Argonaut story, I see the Alejandro Mirabal cover. I thought that was to SOS number 1. Is that to the Argonaut number 1? Or am I confused?
No, just the Alejandro is for the variant cover for SOS.
Right. The reason I'm asking is you've got this little thumbnail here is for the variant cover. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that's why I was like, that's the cover again, because yeah, like when you go down, that's what I was just making sure I wouldn't. I was like, wait a minute, is that Argonauts? I was like, okay. You probably just needed a thumbnail to put somewhere, so it's great art, so why not use it? I get it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the SOS, or maybe, wait a minute, maybe I'm looking at. Okay, I think I see what's going on.
Yeah,
it's showing the item. Yeah. The thumbnail and then the item underneath. I was like, is this? Why is it showing that? Okay, so it's putting the thumbnail and then putting the item underneath. Okay, so here it is. I was like, why is he putting the thumbnail for SOS on the Argonaut? Okay, but we see now I was wrong. I'm an idiot. So now that I'm an idiot, all right. So this is the SOS Volume 1 variant cover by the great Alejandro Mirabal, who I'd actually asked him to maybe do something for the next campaign, maybe a pinup or something, but we will see. He seemed interested in the idea. He's extraordinarily talented. This one is $20, and I'm assuming the shipping is relatively the same, or is it different? Or
it is the same, yes.
And let me see. Let me roll up. Boom, boom, boom. SOS Volume 1. And yeah, so you get two copies of the book for $25. I'm assuming this is the regular.
Yes, just the regular cover.
Yeah, and then right underneath it is SOS Volume 1 and a variant. So you get one of each, the variant and the regular cover.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Cool. $30 there. How much has the shipping fluctuate? So, because obviously you're adding more.
Yeah, I added $8 domestic for the variants and the book to get both.
Oh, okay. Cool. Gotcha.
$14 Canada, I believe $20 for international.
Gotcha. Okay. Then you get the bulk order here. Now, this looks interesting. You get 10 copies of the regular. I'm assuming this is the regular cover, or is there some of the variants thrown in there as well? Or no,
just the regular.
All right, so $100 in case some of you might want to do like a retailer or one of those type things. So $100 make you holler, and yeah, you know how to make it sexy. And let's see, get drawn into the book. So Mr. Canales will actually, put his blood, sweat, and ink into drawing you into the book, probably to get slaughtered by a demon or something. I don't know.
Or you can become the demon.
Oh wow. Okay.
Your choice.
Interesting. Mr. Canales, are you doing this traditionally, or is this digital work that you're doing?
Well, you can say it's mixed media because I'm using the traditional process for pencils and ink, and I'm just using modern means to apply the tones. Because in the old days, one of these tone sheets, well, I don't know how much it was in the US, but here in Spain they were pretty expensive. So that's the only thing I'm doing in a modern way, just using my computer to like substitute the really expensive and slow stuff like tones and colors and all that.
Okay, that's interesting because I remember when I saw Iron Sights the first time. I started seeing the pages. I thought you were doing them traditionally. I thought, um, so I was wondering because I was like, man, those pages, some of those pages with the grayscale, they look really nice. It'd be nice to have one on my wall.
Oh
Um,
no, I do have original pages for anyone who's interested.
oh, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, that's okay. Because I was like, man, those are just
Yeah,
the
actually,
great.
the original Iron Sights pages were done entirely on pencil, and then like inked digitally by just playing with the levels of the pages and all that. Because I wanted it to have like a sketchy, gritty feel. You know what I mean?
Interesting. So
Yeah, I love the way he draws, just like the old Ninja Turtles. I love all of that.
Yeah, yep.
yeah. Like was it Kevin Eastman or Eastman and Laird? Yeah. So I was just, oh man, yeah. I mean, because I remember that. What was that? I think with the old Mirage Studios. Let me.
84. Yeah.
And then boom. Okay. So it's just the three of us now. And all right. So I see we've got people in the chat, yapping it up and whatnot, which is good. This is what this is all about. We're supposed to sit here and have fun and talk about comics. All right. So, Mr. Chimera, what gave you this idea? Why did you want to create this?
Let's see. It all started when I was doodling in 5th grade, and I would just slack off and just doodle my characters. And I started drawing these comic strips of my characters fighting evil versions of cartoon characters, like an evil SpongeBob, evil Frosty Snowman. And then when I was a teenager, I thought maybe I could work in animation. But I kind of gave up on drawing when I was around 16, and I just stuck to writing.
Well, I was about to ask. I said, so don't tell me. So you're an artist as well?
No, failed artist.
Okay. I was like, man, you got to save some of these jobs for the rest of us, man. Can't keep doing everything, man. It's not good. Let's see, but what did a young Chimera read when he was a young lad?
Spawn,
Ooh.
Deathstroke, Punisher.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't like superheroes. I just love the anti-heroes who just kill. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you said that because I've had people and they talk about brand and it's like, okay, so you're doing a superhero book, and I was like, I'm doing a supernatural book. It's not. It's if you think they're superheroes, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Right.
I think you'd be more into. I'd say it's more akin to like a Hellblazer type thing, where you have a person like a John Constantine coming in to investigate a situation, realizing, oh, these guys are magic users. Let me see what I can do to, counter what they're doing. And then, just, that kind of deal. So I don't know if you're just looking for superhero cape stuff, you're going to be disappointed, and I don't want to disappoint anybody, but.
Right.
So.
And if you're looking for superheroes in this book, you'll be disappointed. They're all anti-heroes.
Okay.
So,
well,
they're basically demonic super bastards.
Okay. Well, I was about to come right to you, Mr. Canales. Let me ask you this. Okay, so you've been on a tear after Iron Sights. I've seen your name attached to a few projects on Indiegogo. So you're what was it? The Abductors. I know I had him on a couple months ago to promote that project. I saw he got funded, which is great.
Yeah.
The what is the Abductables? I guess.
The Abductables, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, in a few other projects, it looks like. So, what all is on your plate right now? Because obviously, as we mentioned, and as I've heard Richard mention, you're definitely doing Iron Sights #2. I don't know how big that book is, but he was talking like you were making consistent progress on it. So I don't know what all. It sounds like you're drawing about 4 or 5 books right now. So what's going on? How many books are you doing?
Yeah, well, those are the perks of having no personal life whatsoever. That I can I can dedicate my entire waking time to working on people's projects. And yeah, I'm finishing Iron Sights Part 2 as we speak. I'm on page 95. It's a 100-page book.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
it's basically like a movie. I mean, the first book was actually an adaptation of a movie script that Richard had written, and this one is straight up a comic book script, but it's written with the same pacing and pretty much the same structure in mind. So you know, it reads like a movie, so to speak. So yeah, it will be like a 1 hour 35-minute long action badass. I was going to say it's kind of like in the vein of Sicario or
Right.
this border thrillers, but it's becoming increasingly pulpier as we progress with the franchise. So it's more like Desperado or something like that at this point.
Well, particularly why I'm asking you that, I've noticed in all the projects that I've seen your name attached to, they're not the same stuff. It seems like you jump from different. You're doing the Iron Sights, and then you're doing something about like a guy that's getting abducted by aliens, and you do it, and now you're doing this. You're doing this SOS project. So it's like you are you can't be pigeonholed into any one genre. It seems like you have a variety of interests, or is it just have pen and ink will travel? Is that what it is? Or?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm a Spanish artist. Having will travel. That's exactly it. I mean, we don't have an industry here, so we cling to any project we find, like like a cat to a curtain.
So when you were younger, I don't know how long you've been drawing, because a lot of times I've talked to artists, they're like, "Oh, I've been drawing since I was 3 and 4 and 5 years old." Da, da, da. So you're in Spain. You grow up. I'm assuming you. I know we send a lot of American comics over there. They just, they'll be translated, and because I see those like, here, this is the Italian edition of X-Men or Spider-Man or whatever, Japanese version. So I know those comics are over there. So did you see American comics?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember my dad will reward me with a comic book whenever I made it to a swimming school. We have like this swimming thing that my parents had signed me up for in the mornings. It was horrifying. I hated it. I don't know why I was forced to go there, but my dad or my mom sometimes would present me with an American comic book as a prize for having survived the ordeal, and that's how I became addicted to it. I remember my first comic. I think it was one of those old Spider-Man issues in which he fights. I don't know what was his name, but Rocket Racer was in it, and Spider-Man was trying to protect him from like a hitman that
Wait a minute,
Kingpin
hold
had
on.
hired.
I know about Rocket Racer because there was an issue I bought, and there was some skinhead guys trying to beat him up or something, and he had this horrible, because he had like these headphones, and one of them there was like an antenna where he could control he had the skateboard. Although I remember I was talking to Ethan Van Sciver about 8 or 9 months ago, and I was talking about we were talking about like maybe superheroes that kind of failed that we would like be able to take and make them cool. And I thought he was one of them. I thought, we could take that uniform of his and, update his costume, and because he has the basics. He's apparently a real smart tech guy and all this. He has the basics to be cool. He just needs somebody to write him where it's not, corny and stuff. So I thought I actually thought he's been someone that I have an affinity for, like black superheroes. It's sometimes they get kind of a rough go, and then sometimes people give them a little love. And like I think Fabian Nocienta, when he was writing like New Warriors, you had characters like Night Thrasher, and then you had Rage, which was a little kid that was in an adult's body, and I just like Rage was cool. I thought, those characters, and he treated those characters with respect. What was the character Bandit, who was the Dwayne Turner's half brother, and the character Cord, that was his father's best friend, and you find out the father got murdered by Cord, and he's in love with, like, Night Thrasher's in love with Silk, his daughter, and it's like the whole thing. I was like, don't get me started on New Warriors and Night Thrasher and stuff, because that's something that me and Richard C. Meyer have in common. We both
you're both Night Thrasher fans, right?
Yeah, Night Thrasher. So I was like, I love Night Thrasher.
I was always more of a Blade guy. I remember I thought he was like the coolest guy in the Midnight Suns. Those early '90s collections that the Marvel published when vampires and werewolves and all that became fashionable.
Because I've seen different iterations of that. You could take like a Werewolf by Night, which I always like. I saw I heard. I think it was Ethan and Malin, and they were having a conversation. He's like Stan Lee can sell anything, because he just calls him Werewolf by Night, and he's like, it's just a werewolf.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like, but I always like that name, Werewolf by Night. It's like,
and I really can't think of many werewolves that go around, biting people during the day. That's not something that werewolves will do, right?
Well, yeah, because the whole point is when the moon comes out, they change. That's it's automatic. Although now I don't know if you ever watched or if that show like Teen Wolf is available over in Spain. I'm sure it is in some form or fashion.
I used to watch the cartoons back in the 1980s.
But they had an MTV show, which they probably I know they got MTV in Spain. They got
I think they made like a more serious and dramatic version recently, right?
Yeah, and it was actually, I thought it was going to be corny. The show was actually pretty good. What I didn't know is the original Teen Wolf, the movie with Michael J. Fox, and then they made a horrible sequel with I can't remember the guy. Either way, the sequel where he was playing the cousin of Michael J. Fox, because Michael J. Fox told him he didn't want to come back. So it was just like, look, I don't want to come back. But the original Teen Wolf was actually created by Jeff Loeb, who is he's pretty huge in the comic book business and works on all the Marvel MCU movies and has written like.
Actually, didn't he write like the Commando movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes, he did.
There you go.
Commando. Yes, he did. That's what I'm saying. He was a screenwriter, and he wrote Commando, and he wrote Teen Wolf, and didn't sound like, even though Teen Wolf made a lot of money, that was a big hit. It didn't sound like he got a lot of money for it. But I noticed on the TV show, I watched every episode of the MTV Teen Wolf because I was surprised. I was like, I thought they were going to go. I mean, it was more like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. People thought I was crazy when I told them. I said, man, watch Teen Wolf, because I was like, it's pretty clear that the creators of the Teen Wolf MTV show were big fans of Joss Whedon, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It really is very similar to that show, in my opinion. So I was just like, I can Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I can imagine Teen. Yeah, I can imagine Teen Wolf being like a testosterone-driven version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because the vampires are more like, I don't want to say effeminate, but I think girls like vampires more than they do werewolves. So werewolves are more like a guy thing, right? A werewolf is basically the Hulk, but covered in fur.
Yeah, and vampires are all emo nowadays.
Yeah, very much so. But that's the thing, because even when they did an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer where she wanted to get bitten by Dracula, like they actually had the real Dracula show up in Sunnydale.
Yeah.
And they hired some fashion model guy with long hair. He's like, he looks all, sexy and everything, but he's really Dracula. And I was just like, it was strange to me because, first of all, I thought they kind of wasted the opportunity. If you're actually going to have the Dracula, the original vampire, he shouldn't just be a one episode thing, make him be like the big bad for the season or something. You know how they used to, I don't know if either one of you were big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans.
I used to be hooked on that crap when I was like 20, something like that. And I didn't have to go to college because I missed 1 year because my grades wouldn't let me get in art school. So I had to wait 1 year. And that 1 year I was unemployed and I watched the shit out of that show.
Well, they're bringing, that was one of the, I think it might be on Netflix or Hulu or one of those. They're bringing, I've saw Joss Whedon, they've been talking about, they're bringing Buffy the Vampire Slayer back, but she's going to be black this time. That's one of the
come on.
Well, I mean, they said that like last year. So, I mean, I've been,
But they did that to Charmed.
Yeah, well, yeah. And is that show still, I know it got picked up for another season. I didn't know if that's, because like a lot of those shows don't last very long when they do stuff like that. People, they change some of the races of the characters in Riverdale, but people like that show.
That shows.
Now here's the thing. I can remember an episode in which there was a flashback back to the 1970s about the Slayer. I think that's how you say it in English.
Oh yeah. Like, this is when Spike killed the dude's mom, right?
Yeah.
And the Slayer in the 1970s designated Slayer was a black chick,
and that's where he got the coat from because he killed her and he took
exactly. And I wouldn't be averse against watching a 1970s inspired Buffy the Vampire show, like with a Cleopatra Jones type of girl hunting vampires in New York City. That would be pretty cool.
But see, that does sound cool. But they're talking about, let's take Buffy Summers, and now she's still a cheerleader. She's still the same character. She's just black now.
Right. It's just lazy writing.
And that's the thing, and this has been an interesting year for me. I've got an opportunity to talk to a lot of different creators, and I've had Steve Englehart on this channel. I had Ann Cinney on this channel. Sanford Green. Obviously Ethan Van Sciver has been on, and Malin, and I've been able to talk to so many of them. And when I had Steve Englehart on, it came up in the chat about, how they're switching some of these characters out or taking a character like Iceman, who had been heterosexual, had been portrayed as heterosexual. And now he's a gay guy. It came up in the chat as like, okay, instead of changing these characters' race or changing their sexual preference, why not just make good gay characters? Like, just create a new character and, hey, that character's, this is a brand new character. He's real cool. Hey, guess what? He's also gay. And if you write him well, the fans will respect it. It's like North Star or something like that if you write it well.
Or Miles Morales.
Well, see, that's the thing. And that kind of pisses me off that they started playing with this bi-curious thing with him. Because I've noticed they do this on television a lot, too. They take a lot of black characters and then they make them effeminate or gay. And, that's one thing I've told, your boy Zach a few times that I appreciate him saying, because he's noticed it too. He's like, why do they always take the black guy and all of a sudden he's a gay dude? It's just, they did that on the Arrowverse shows with Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, which in the comic books, he'd be the original Mr. Terrific was a superhero in the 40s. And then they, obviously Jeff Johns rebooted that character and they made him a black character, but he was a straight black character. He's straight with his wife died, and then he took his scientific knowledge and created the T squares, the T balls, or whatever, and all that. Yeah. And that was
it has a pretty badass design too. I like the whole jacket thing and the black thing on his face obscuring. That's a pretty cool design.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, that whole thing of Justice Society. Yeah, Jeff Johns' run on that was pretty interesting. And But when they added Mr. Terrific on the show, all of a sudden he's a gay guy. He's married to this white guy. It was very interesting. I was like,
yeah,
okay,
they're just feminizing men.
Yeah, but I mean they do that particularly with like Black and Latino characters a lot. I've noticed.
Yeah,
I remember that the part that made me the most angry from the Batwoman trailer was how wimpy, because I'm used to the Morgan Freeman portrayal of Lucius Fox.
He's Luke Fox now, and well, yeah, he's definitely effeminate. And here's the thing, I don't know if Greg Berlanti is living in a bubble, because it seems like when you watch any of his shows, he goes overboard trying to make sure everybody's like he makes sure, okay, somebody on this show has to be gay, lesbian, trans, anything, because they made and then they make these big social statements, because the whole big thing of last season on Supergirl, which is he's got all the Arrowverse shows are under him, Supergirl, now Batwoman, Arrow, this is the final season, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Black Lightning. They make this big point of not only the character, hey, this character is gay, this character is a lesbian, this character is bi, but they have to make sure they do press on it, instead of just letting the story tell itself or whatever. So, like on Legends, the White Canary character, because she was introduced on the Arrow as someone that Oliver Queen was cheating on his girlfriend with. It was her sister. He was sleeping with her. He was sleeping with his girlfriend and her sister, and then he snuck the sister off onto like a yacht, and then they got lost at sea and thought that he died with her. Obviously, they were just trapped on that island, and they both did ninja training and came back to the States and became like superhero vigilante type characters. But the whole boy, she was the White Canary the White Canary character. They were like, she was a lover of Oliver Queen, and then they go, oh, she's a lesbian. And then when they spun her off onto the Legends of Tomorrow character onto that show, and then they brought when they brought John Constantine on there, which in the comic books he's a bisexual. So that didn't, especially when they started writing Constantine later on, they's like, oh, he's bisexual. So he was, so them going, hey, John Constantine's actually going to be bisexual. That's not a shock, because people is going back 25 years in the comic books. They were like, well, yeah, he was sleeping with dudes.
I don't know if he's bisexual. I mean, he's a 1970s punk, so he probably was like drugged up to his eyeballs, fucking anything that moved. I think, David Bowie style. That's pretty much it.
If you're sleeping with men and women, I'm gonna say that's, what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't think that's a solid basis to say that a character is bisexual. He's probably just degenerate, which John Constantine is.
But that's the thing, sometimes on this channel I do my podcast, Sexy Party, and that's something that I have talked about a few times. That sometimes in my life I've met people that say they're bisexual and they're really just gay. They're only bisexual because they haven't came out yet. That's the only reason you sleep with a woman.
Yeah, I've met a couple of those myself. Yeah, I'm bisexual. I just like men better. Now, like gay. We all know it.
and that's the thing, and I think I was talking to Sashi on there, and I said, look, have you not noticed that a lot of times these guys say they're bisexual, and then once they know that whenever they bring their person that they're dating, it's always a man. Once they say, hey, I'm bisexual, and you never see them dating women ever again. Once they do that, I was like, that dude was just gay, and he was just, he just was trying to let you, but I think John Constantine is definitely, they've showed him with men and women. He's consistently, you know what I'm saying? So I think they played, at least in the comic books, they tried to, he had past lovers that were men, past lovers that were women. He just diddles whatever. I'm surprised he ain't got a couple of demon lovers. He probably does. Yeah. He probably is sex with a demon.
I know he used to hang out with this demon chick called what was her name? The one he used to trick Gabriel. That's an. Yeah, that's an old Garth Ennis storyline. I can't remember right now which one was it.
I love Garth.
Ellie. Garth. Yeah. She was called Ellie, I'm pretty sure because he's John fucking Constantine.
But that's the thing. Yeah, he's just John Constantine. But like I said, they put him in Legends, and they made sure they said, hey, to any of the Constantine, because some of the Constantine fans were like, is he gonna? Because they showed a storyline where he slept with White Canary. They had sex, and then they said some people got mad. And they go, wait a minute, so is he gonna have male lovers too? Because John Constantine is bisexual. And then Greg Berlanti was like, oh no, we're definitely going to explore Constantine's sexuality in the show. And so yeah, he definitely had some male lovers as well. So they've done that. I've kind of gotten out of those shows because it seemed like they were pushing some of that stuff a little too heavy for me. So I was like, I still like the Flash and I like Arrow mostly. And I'm actually looking forward to the Crisis on Infinite Earth crossover because they've even got Burt Ward on the show, and I'm like, I watch that Batman, Adam West, Burt Ward. And you're like, I was like, that was I like what Cesar Romero as the Joker, and I was like, man, Burgess Meredith as Penguin, and I love those shows. So,
you got Kingdom Come Superman, I think.
Yeah, but it's weird for me because Brandon Routh is playing Kingdom Come Superman, but he also plays the Atom on Legends of Tomorrow. So is he gonna play? He might play both parts, or have they? I haven't watched Legends in a while. Have they killed his character off or something? I don't know. I have to go back and
I think the cool factor will override any other considerations. No one will say, "Hey, how come the same guy plays the Atom and Superman?" Who cares? It's awesome. That's what counts.
That's true. And the some of the set photos that I've seen, like they got Tom Welling and Erica Durance that played Lois Lane on Smallville. They're back. I've been like, because it was weird. He was like at a couple of cons. He was at like San Diego Comic-Con for a big panel, and they were like, "Hey, they're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths. Are you going to do that show?" And he kept saying, he's like, "No, I wish them success though. It looks fun. I'm sure it'll be a fun project." And then he go to another con. He was like in Minnesota at a con, and he was on a panel. "Are you doing the Crisis stuff?" "Yeah, well, no, they haven't talked to me about that, but I wish those guys luck." And I kept hearing that they were negotiating with him the whole time, and he just kept going, "Yeah, well, I'm not on that, but I wish him the best of luck, such and such, such." He kept saying it, and then finally they go, "Tom Welling's coming back," and he was like, "Oh." So I guess he couldn't say anything.
Yeah, I loved Smallville when I was a kid.
Yes, that was. I'm upset that they haven't cut a deal with Michael Rosenbaum yet. He keeps saying he publicly came out and said, "Look, I'm not coming back," and I was bummed out by that because I really wanted to see him play Lex Luthor again. So
I really hope the Kevin Conroy as
that
would be amazing.
It's not the first time they had I think they had Mark Hamill play the Trickster, the older version of the Trickster, right?
Yeah, because he was friends with the guy that plays the Flash from Earth 3 or whatever the hell, I can't remember.
Yeah.
That and Mark Hamill had been on the old CBS Flash TV series where that guy, I can't remember his name because he was on the dad on Dawson's Creek, but I used to watch him when I saw Dawson's Creek. I said,
I used to love the old Flash show mostly because of the Danny Elfman soundtrack. I was obsessed with Danny Elfman when I was a kid. And it was really, I mean, I'm not going to say that it was good because looking back, it was kind of corny. But I really loved it as a kid.
It looked like it was velvet or something.
No, that's no way to dress a superhero. That's weirdly glam,
When I was like 15 though, when I was 15 years old and that show came out, I was like, "Oh wow, look at this, it's great." And Mark Hamill is the Trickster. It was a little weird for me because I was like, "That's Luke Skywalker. What is he doing?"
Yeah.
It was strange. And at that time, we didn't know he was the voice of the Joker because the Batman animated series had started airing around that time. And I did not know he was the voice of the Joker. And he's been on a bunch of cartoons. He was also the voice of the Hobgoblin on the old Spider-Man cartoon as well. So I was like...
Yeah, I remember he was in Metalocalypse playing the Big Bad.
Yeah, he does a ton of voiceover work, and for whatever reason, and this blew me away when he finally said, "Look, I'm not playing the Joker anymore. I'm done." And I was like, "Why would you give that up? You're the Joker for like millions of people. They grew up with you, like going back."
I think those are the two parts people will remember Mark Hamill for. He was Luke Skywalker and he was the Joker. You know, you shouldn't be turning your back in any of those.
I have to say, the new guy, Troy Baker, he does a perfect Mark Hamill.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. They're hiring someone.
That's true. That's true.
Voice. that's the thing. They was like, "Hey, can you do Mark Hamill?" And I've seen him at cons, and he perfectly mimics him. And they did the Rockstar Canada game where it was the Batman Arkham Origins, and they had, you know, Kevin Conroy wasn't Batman, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to do something a little different with this." They said, because we're going back, you know, this is a young Bruce Wayne, so this is going to be a young Joker. So then all of a sudden they just switched the voice actors out, and the guy that they got to do Bruce Wayne, he did a pretty good young Kevin Conroy, and then Troy Baker as the Joker, man, just killed that shit. I was like, oh, it was great, you know, and I've seen him when he's done like some Dragon Ball work, because I mean these guys all work all around, it looks like. So he's in a lot of the video games, Mortal Kombat and all that kind of stuff. So I
think voice actors are the same everywhere, because here, you know, since a voice actor gets paid a lot less than a proper actor, here in Spain, Robin Williams and Tom Cruise and Steven Seagal and Daniel Day-Lewis all have the same voice, and it's really, you know, when you stop to think about it, it's really crazy. Yeah, it's all this voicing the same guy, voiced by the same guy.
Interesting. Okay, that's I've heard stuff like that. I was watching an international interview, and I think they were in Italy, and I can't remember who the people were. They were promoting some big movie, and the guy goes, "Well, I've met the guy that is he's like, I've met the Italian Brad Pitt. Because whatever movie Brad Pitt's in, they hire this guy to do his voice in every movie."
Yeah. It's the same here, because people, you know, since they watch them on the Spanish version, people get used to that character sounding like that. So, you know, Brad Pitt has to sound the same in every movie, or people don't like it.
So yeah, he said, yeah, they just hire the same guy to do my voice all the time. You know,
I think I can't remember if it was Woody Allen or Clint Eastwood. Maybe both of them. They said that the guy who dubbed them in Spanish was better than their own voices.
Well, I saw. And one thing I did see is Jackie Chan. He likes to dub himself because he's obviously from from Hong Kong and all that kind of thing. So when he does a movie in the States and then they need to dub it into Mandarin, he'll do his own. But then they've got like a Spanish Jackie Chan and and they've got an international Jackie Chan. Like this is, but yeah. He'll dub himself in like Mandarin. But then like they need a German Jackie Chan. They need, so they've got all these different voice actors. But I did not know that they could do that because, like for instance, Gwyneth Paltrow can speak pretty fluent Spanish. I saw there's an interview of her on YouTube, and the person interviewing her is the whole interview is in Spanish, and I didn't understand a word they were saying, but the whole interview is like, it's like a 10-minute interview. And
I think she lived here for a while with a foster family or something when she was like in a foreign student exchange thing or something like that. And I think she was living here for like a year or something like that.
Yeah, her father was a big Hollywood director, and her mom, Blythe Danner, is a big so she's been all over. She's been all over the world, and then when she was with, was it Chris Martin, when she was married to him, they lived over in like England, they lived over there with their kids and stuff. And then obviously they got divorced, and I don't know, she's an internet, but I didn't know, I've seen someone else that speaks fluent Spanish. is Bradley Cooper, and I think he speaks French too. I saw an interview with him, and it was done over in France, and he just it was a little rusty, but he did the whole interview. The entire thing was done in French, and I was like, I was impressed by that, but I was like, that's just being able to having parents with money and being able to go to good schools and being able to take those. But I mean, it's cool because you see him and he's sitting there and his nails all polished. He's got his bronzer on and he's like, yes, and he's just doing the whole thing.
I remember watching a short film like maybe 15 years ago or something like that in a horror channel that we have in Spain, and I watched it in the original French version, and Christopher Lee was in it, and he did his whole all his dialogues he dubbed himself in French. Apparently the guy spoke like 4 or 5 languages.
I'm a big fan of Christopher Lee. God bless the dead. Big fan of his. He was a big Tolkienite. He was a big fan of J.R.R. Tolkien. And he could speak some of the Elvish language. I saw if you get any of the Lord of the Rings extended stuff where they've got all that extra material, he's actually speaking the words of Isildur and all this. I was tripping. I was like, Christopher Lee really blew me away. I was like,
Christopher Lee was one of the most metal people to ever walk the earth.
Brilliant actor, though. Brilliant actor.
He's amazing. I was always a big fan of his, probably since I first saw him in Gremlins 2. I think that was my first impression of him.
Yes. But no, one thing what I didn't know, I started listening to the director's commentaries with Peter Jackson on those Lord of the Rings movies. I did not know they were shooting Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. And in what was it, New Zealand or I guess Australia.
Yeah, he was in it too.
They were shooting it there, and they were shooting Lord of the Rings at the same time, and Christopher Lee was in both movies. So he would take some of the actors from Lord of the Rings. He was like, yeah, I'm shooting today. You can come on with me as my guest. And they would, they said that, the actors from Star Wars would pop up on the Lord of the Rings set, and then the Lord of the Rings guys would go over and hang out on the Star Wars set. I thought that was cool, man. I was like, because a lot of those guys were over there for 4, 5, 6 months. They said, they go over there and what's it, Sean Astin, he's got a wife and kids, and he was talking about, I'd be over there for like 3 2 months, 3 months, and then I had to fly home and spend 2 weeks with my kid, and I had to come back. It'd be that kind of deal. So I just thought the whole straight, and then they had to go back to do pickup shots and all this. It's interesting to me. So I'm actually looking forward. Amazon spent like $300 million to get the rights to the Lord of the Rings television series, and they're spending. I think it's not going to start until like 2021, but they've already started teasing it. And
I just hope they won't go the full social justice route and cast a female Gandalf and all that.
Somebody who started that. I saw that on Twitter where people they said Gandalf should be a female or non-gender.
Why though? Is it because he's gonna get her ass kicked in the first episode and then locked up in a tower for the whole season, like Gandalf does in the first movie?
But the show and that's the thing. That's why you have nerds. The nerds are explaining that this Lord of the Rings show is supposed to take place at least 500 years before the events of the Hobbit or whatever. So it's supposed to be like at least 500 some odd years in the past. So there is no Gandalf. Whoever the male wizard lead is should be trans or whatever.
Did you see Birds of Prey? They made Black Canary.
Oh man,
yeah, but I knew once they did that, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to come. And I mean, I can't remember that chick who plays Harley Quinn. I'm a big fan of hers.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, Margot Robbie. Okay, yeah, I like her, and they said that this was her idea. She wanted the cast to be very inclusive. Like, just do your job, dumbass.
Am I the only one who thinks that the social justice has replaced Scientology as the lead religion in Hollywood?
Yes.
Man.
It is a religion.
they think they're owning conservatives or whatever. It's like, if you don't like, it's the same shit with the Star Wars stuff, with like trying to force feed us like Rose Tico and some of that stuff. So if you speak out and you don't like it, oh, you're one of those alt-right guys. I got you.
It's just weird because comic book fans are 95 to 99% male. Like, you're not making movies for them.
Yeah, and it's just, but and then I saw some people saying, because it started coming out that George Lucas didn't like what they've done with the Star Wars trilogies, the new ones, and that he had given them ideas, and they were just like, "Yeah, this is stupid. We don't want to do your stuff, George." And then they do the fourth.
Who want to do Ryan Johnson stuff instead?
Oh
my god,
that is smart.
The only silver lining is that he actually might not do his trilogy. I think they fired him. Thank God.
But they're saying he got fired, and then they're coming back and going, well, no, he still got it. And then they're like, backing off. And so, I think that he is fired, but at the same point in time, they don't want it. It's just like the Kathleen Kennedy stuff. Like, are they gonna get her out of there or what?
Yeah. After Indiana Jones 5. And then I guarantee you they're gonna kill. They're gonna make 3 horrible Old Republic movies.
Oh, now see, that's the thing, and I've talked about that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the Old Republic, because the Old Republic, that's when, especially old Lucasfilm before George. I wish George hadn't sold Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
He did an interview and he explained why he sold it, because he felt like, he said, I had a couple hundred employees. He said he said, and I wanted to do more experimental type stuff, and I didn't want to bankrupt the company. He did that movie Red Tails, which was about a black fighter pilot regiment in like World War II, I think. And they spent $100 million of his own money on that. He couldn't get anybody to help him finance it, because nobody wants to watch this movie. And when you watch the movie, the special effects on that movie are incredible, but it needed a little tweaking on the script. I wish they had although I think they had Aaron Magruder as one of the script writers on that, and I love the Boondocks, which they're bringing back. They're bringing back the Boondocks.
They kind of have to.
Yeah. But
season 4 of that was horrible.
Oh, it was awful. But he wasn't involved. He walked away because they didn't obviously had a difference of opinion. So them bringing him back, and they also switched animation houses, which was really bad. I hope that the company that did the animation for the first 3 seasons goes back to doing animation, because the animation company that did it the last season, they're cheaper, but you get what you pay for.
Right. So, and they tried. What bothered me was that they made Black Dynamite back in 2011, and they were trying to copy the Boondocks, and it just came off weird.
Well, they were trying to copy the Boondocks, but they were also doing parodies of blaxploitation, which obviously blaxploitation films are my wheelhouse. I love Shaft and Superfly and Nat Trucker and what's that? Damn, man, I can't. I can't. Man, I got so many of the movies, because I mean, like, they do crazy stuff like Blackula.
Here's a fun fact.
Jones.
My dad is a massive Shaft fan and a massive blaxploitation fan. Yeah. And he was also heavily into the whole Motown sound and Detroit type of music. Yeah, back in the 1970s, and he's a white guy. So there you go. It's not about race. It's about what speaks to you. And my dad really liked all that stuff.
But I mean, your dad was from Spain though? He was born, or was he from somewhere else and just moved?
Yeah, no. My dad is basically a Spanish cowboy. He's from South Central Spain, which is where it's really hot and arid. And he traveled to Brussels with my grandfather when their mother died back in the Franco years. And I guess that Brussels back then was like the the metropolis of Europe. It was like the center of the whole union, and there were lots of foreign movies and foreign books and foreign shows going on. And at some point he fell in love with the whole 1970s black aesthetic culture and all that.
Didn't Shaft get review bombed?
Yeah, it did because they said it had.
Probably deservedly.
Well, I know this last one that they put out, and the thing is, the people that actually went to it's just like some of that Captain Marvel BS where the reviewers were giving it all this glowing praise, and then like you start seeing the rotten where they had to turn some of that stuff off because they said, "Oh, people are just saying the movie." So I was trying to watch that Captain Marvel movie. That shit was trash, bro. I'm just being real about it. I did not enjoy it. So I guess that makes me a hater. I don't know, but I did not.
Or a sane person, considering what we saw.
Oh, I mean, the guy said, "Oh, you should smile more," and then she like breaks his hand and stuff. I was like, "Oh, okay."
It's just mentally ill. Ugh.
Yeah. But there's a very fine adult film based on Captain Marvel that's been going around. And
it looks more faithful to the original character too.
It does, and that's a good thing I will say about our fine film industry that is the adult film business. Those people respect the material from Forrest Hump to Forrest Hump and Porn Fiction and all these. When you watch those films, you know that they another classic comes to mind, Sperms of Endearment. When you see those, those people respect the material. And I wish Hollywood would take a note from our dear brothers and sisters in the adult film industry. Whoever made that Captain Marvel movie, they were a fan. And bravo.
I can't confirm or deny that I've seen it.
Well, there are clips of it, like on Pornhub and stuff.
Well, I think the saddest part of all of this is that the porn industry is actually directed by authors. There are no big corporations behind them, so the directors pretty much do whatever they want. I don't know if there's like this, like someone financing the whole thing, but I think they do the movie, whatever movie they want to do, unlike Hollywood, which is all decided by committee.
Well, it's kind of funny because you have a big time director like Barry Sonnenfeld that directed the Men in Black franchise, right? He was a porn director. That's where
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he used to direct adult films, and before he got into Hollywood, and some people have tried to shame him with that, but I was like, dude, he was trying to earn a living, man. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, he directed a few adult films. You also have DJ Yella from NWA. He kind of got drummed out of the music business for a while, and he couldn't make any money making rap music, right? So he became an adult film director. He directed, I know I saw it one time, he directed about 100 different films. He had his own production company and stuff. He took his money and he directed. So I'm sitting there going, do you understand how big an NWA fan I am? I was like, I'm a big fan of NWA. They're like the Beatles of rap to me. So to hear the DJ Yella is producing, like, he's sitting there filming like 70, 80 porn movies, that's crazy to me. But he did it, but then, as all of a sudden people started wanting NWA to perform again, and he started getting like they started wanting him to do concerts and stuff, so he's doing like different DJ contests and stuff. So all of a sudden I started seeing him like in legitimate stuff again, and he dialed back on the porn. So I was like, okay. I mean, he was never an on-screen actor. He was but he was filming everything,
maybe one day he will go back to it when he has a passion project to direct.
Oh, his magnum opus, I'm sure.
I had this idea going on in my head for years, and finally it's time to put it in film.
I don't know. When I was younger and we used to get like VHS tapes of adult films, they used to all be on, they used to always shoot them on 8mm. They used to actually shoot before they started shooting them on cams, on like webcams or whatever, like camcorders. They used to shoot all the adult films on actual like 8mm film. It used to be shot like a real movie. So like when people would see like movies like Deep Throat or Debbie Does Dallas or whatever, you'd actually go to the theater and they would actually show them in the theater there. And then they start going, well, it's cheaper if we just do like like a mobile camera. And that's why we have now those mobile cameras. They're still shooting it like that, but now those cameras are like HD, 1080 DPI, and they zoom in and do all this digital, and they can do all that. But yeah, I was like, man, I still like seeing some of those old films that were shot in the 70s, and they're actually shot on like 8mm film and stuff. And I was like, wow, they were actually thinking they were doing like real cinema. So I was like, what if you do?
And I know that you had to actually, nowadays. I'm not speaking from experience, but nowadays you can shoot a porn movie, as long as you see what's going on and you have a camera, you can make a movie. But back in the day, if you had like real celluloid camera, you had to light that motherfucker up because it doesn't really capture light well. You have to build the whole set and build the rigs for the lights and all that, and you have to have a crew for that.
But yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the things though, as that genre has expanded, those old 70s and early 80s films, when they were still doing them like that, they used to actually think they were making real movies.
No. If you guys seen this movie by Paul Thomas Anderson, what was it?
Boogie Nights.
Yeah, that's the one. Mark Wahlberg, and they saw themselves as as legit movie directors.
Yeah, and apparently that wasn't really Mark Wahlberg's dick at the end.
No, he had to. He talked about that they put a prosthetic on there out at the end. Yeah, he whipped it. Yeah, someone said they tried to sell that prosthetic that he used.
Oh,
they had it steam cleaned or whatever, but they like auctioned it off or something. I'm trying to remember, because you can buy all. Sometimes they have these auctions in Hollywood or Sotheby's or whatever. They'll put them up. Because the thing is, I saw someone was tweeting out about a week ago. Someone was trying to get like $10,000 for selling one of the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle suits from I think it was Leonardo.
No, it was Donatello. It was like falling to pieces.
Yeah, the whole thing was. Yeah, I was like $10,000. I understand that this was actually on the screen. But this thing is not. It has not been well preserved. It looks like hot garbage. So why would I give you $10,000 for that?
Is it from the original 90 or is it one of the terrible sequels?
It was, from my understanding, the one that they were showing was from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Turtles in Time.
Oh well, fuck it. That movie was awful.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Yeah, but he wants 10 G's for it, and I was like, oh.
I'll pay for the Corey Feldman one. Thank you very much.
Even if it's all ripped to shreds, because those guys weren't actually in the suits; those were just the voice actors. Like Corey Feldman was the voice.
Fuck yeah, that movie was awesome.
I snuck in the movie theater. What was it, 80, 89 or 90 or whatever, to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My mom took me to the theater, and she wanted to go home, and she wanted to see Driving Miss Daisy. So we watched Driving Miss Daisy. Right at the end, I looked at my watch and I saw what time it was, and I knew if I left right then, I told my mom what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to see. She said, I don't have no more money. I said, I'm going to get in. Don't worry. And then I snuck in. They were clearing the theater, and I went and I sat in, and sure enough, the ushers were cleaning the theater out before the new crowd came in. So I just went in and just grabbed a seat. And
so like a ninja then.
Yeah. And
you ninja the shit out of that movie.
And I was a kid, and I was like, thank God they didn't ask me to see my ticket again, because once I snuck in, and then the usher came back to the door and started checking everybody's ticket as they were going in. So I was already in. And then
it was fate. It was fate who put you in that theater.
Oh man, but I watched Teenage Mutant. I watched that first one, and I loved it, man. I was like, this is awesome. It was the kung fu, because they had the guys in the real suits, but they were all like ninja stuntmen guys. And that was like, I saw some of those guys that were the guys in the actual suits, and those guys were able to do like flips and all of, work nunchucks and bolo staffs and all. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. What they were able to do. Yeah, I was blown away by that.
Well, I think those guys came straight from Hong Kong because the producer was Golden Harvest Production, and those are the guys who produced, I think, that the old Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan movies. So half of the staff in the crowd from Hong Kong.
And there was only one turtle that was played by the same guy. It was Josh Pice as Raphael. He played the voice and the stunts.
Oh, okay. Because because I saw behind the scenes thing, and you would see the turtle suit, and it would have these wires going because they couldn't do wireless back then for whatever reason. They had wires going back, off camera. So like they would tighten in so you couldn't see the wires coming underneath the turtle shell, and then the puppet person would be moving their hand. They had some kind of device you put on your hand, and it would make the mouth move, and they could also control the eyes and make them blink and do stuff. But then on the next movie, they had figured out a way to make some of the eye blinking like automatic, but then they could still move the mouth. I was surprised. I was like, man, they really. But as it went on, it just kind of did its thing. So let me see. Okay, so hold up, you shared. You got a screen share thing. Let me do this. Oh, okay. I got you.
Trying to find. It's Johansson. No, it's Mikey. Where's Josh? I think that's Raphael. And then those are the Hong Kong guys.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, like I said, the way that suit had deteriorated was horrible. It was so bad.
Well, just imagine the state of Mark Wahlberg's dick then.
Oh, oh my God. Oh man. Oh, that's funny.
They're never going to make that kind of movie again. It's all kiddie now. Like the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles are awful.
And which they're doing a third one. They're completely rebooting again.
It made money, so
God, those movies were bad. And I thought, although after like the second Transformers, I started realizing that Michael Bay really wasn't a Transformers fan. I was like, oh, Michael Bay makes cool movies, because I was a big, he produced a lot of big movies in the 80s, and he was, one of the producers on like the Beverly Hills Cop and some of those movies like that. And so I was like, oh, wow, okay. So you hear Michael Bay is doing Transformers. It's going to be cool. And there was some issues with the first Transformers, but I liked it overall. And then the second one came, and they were doing the combiners. They did that Devastator, and it wasn't Devastator. Once it wasn't Devastator, and he was just like morphing into some kind of I was like,
the thing that really bugged me is that Devastator was the name of the tank in the first movie. They couldn't seem to decide if he was Brawl or if he was Devastator. But apparently the official name was Devastator, and then Devastator was again in the second movie as the big combiner. So that's when I lost faith.
Yeah, because the way they do the transforming, it's like with nanites or whatever. So it's like, and I actually wanted to see 6 construction vehicles kind of float up into the air and morph in the arms and legs instead of doing like a big nanite meld thing. And then it didn't even become. I was like, what is this, dude?
Yeah, the directors don't know. He
admitted he wasn't a Transformers fan.
They need to know their shit.
The guy that directed Bumblebee actually said he grew up watching Transformers, and a lot more people, that's a soft reboot of the Transformers franchise. A lot of people actually thought Bumblebee was good. I've watched some of it. I haven't watched the whole movie.
It is pretty good. I saw it.
Yeah, Kanan's like, dude, I know you may have got turned off by those other Transformers movies, but watch Bumblebee. It's pretty dope. And I was like, okay, so I told Kanan I would watch it, but man, like after seeing movies like The Last Night and stuff, I was like, they just shit all over Transformers, and I didn't like that. Also G.I. Joe was horrible. Those people clearly were not fans. And so, or what was I did a stream yesterday, and I was talking about J.J. Abrams and his Star Trek reboots, and he admitted coming up that he didn't like Star Trek. So why are you directing Star Trek movies if you don't like the material?
Because he wants to buy another island, I guess.
Pedo Island, these guys.
Build a statue of Moloch.
How many islands does one need to sacrifice children?
All the people. Jesus Christ.
But I'm just like, that just disturbs me. He's like, he said he's a Star Wars fan, and I was like, okay, if I'm looking at The Force Awakens, is it like horrible like The Last Jedi? No. But he just pretty much took George's story and just remade it with different, and I was like, it's not very good. So I don't I don't enjoy it on the same fashion. So it's
Man,
I was a little bummed out. The trailers that I've seen for the Rise of Skywalker have not impressed me. And Rose Tico's a commander now. I was like, oh, okay, so
Yeah, because everyone seemed to like her so much.
Yes, she made the movie. She was the best thing on the screen. Her and that blue-headed what was the Admiral what was her
Vice Admiral Gender Studies.
Oh God.
Or of course Leia being in the middle of outer space
and floating.
She should have died instantly, but she's able to use the Force to
Yeah, the Force doesn't work like that. These people
But I saw like scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson go, no, she would die instantly.
Right.
I was like, if you were in the vacuum of space, you would die instantly. Your body would freeze and you would die instantly.
Right.
No, she can use the Force, and okay.
I have zero interest in episode 9, and if you're looking on 4chan, they're thinking of doing like a hoax to make Star Wars they're going to make some memes, I guess, and make Star Wars 9 anti-China so that they lose the money in China.
Yeah, I'm cool with that because I think Star Wars needs to be euthanized.
Yeah.
They need to, but like I said, when I heard they were going to do some of the Old Republic stuff, I was like, man, they should have done that when they were doing these reboots.
Yeah, I would rather see Darth Raven than this emo.
Yeah, I thought they had some really cool expanded universe stuff that was cool, man. Why do that shit? It was like, hey, we have to, and then George is called a hater because he's like, they shit all over my franchise. He was like, I thought George would be for diversity and include. It's like George is married to a black woman and has a half black child. These are facts.
Yep.
He's not against diversity.
But if they could be affected by facts and logic, they wouldn't be SJWs, right?
Right.
This is very true. And that is, it's just heartbreaking to me though, because that is something like Star Wars influenced me. It's a huge, and they're like, well, you're a grown man. Quit being a man baby about it. I was like, no, Star Wars meant something to me, so when you take something that influenced, that influenced me like that, and you just take a massive dump on it.
But just imagine going back in history and taking Greek mythology away from Greeks.
Right.
What would that make? But what would that do to their society?
Yes.
Well, I also, I've talked about like when they did the MCU movies, like they did Thor, and then I'm a big fan of Idris Elba's, but when you're doing a story about Norse gods, and you have to make sure that there's black people and Asians and all this, I was like, really? Okay, because I noticed when they did a Gods of Egypt movie, and then they had white leads, and everybody's like, "This is Africa, man. Why are you making all these guys white?"
Oh, you know what's even better?
What's that?
I guarantee you, Natalie Portman's going to be the new Thor, and her lover is going to be the black bisexual Valkyrie.
Didn't they admit that Natalie is actually going to be a secondary character and that Chris Hemsworth is going to be the main character?
Yeah, he's gonna because he's signed he's supposed to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 also. So they've got him because he's one of the only original Avengers that is still, because even though Scarlett Johansson is doing a Black Widow movie, that movie is set in the past before she got killed or something. So
yeah.
Well, that makes sense. You can do a movie with a character that's dead in the future.
Yeah, well, but
what do I know? What do I know?
But I don't want to get on another Avengers Endgame rant because I dumped on that movie with all that time travel bullshit that they did. I dumped on that movie so many times because I loved Infinity War. Now I've had some friends of mine tell me, no, Infinity War sucked too. I was like, no, Infinity War was some badass shit. Right. I loved Infinity War. I would see that movie so many times. I was like, when Thor showed up at the end in Wakanda with the Stormbreaker, I was like, he goes like, bring me Thanos. And he showed up and he's got Rocket and Groot with him. And I was like, oh, and I mean, you heard an audible gasp in the theater. The theater was feeling that. It was like, yes. And he just starts running through all the Thanos' soldiers. And I'm, oh man, he just slicing everybody, chopping. Everybody, oh man, the whole theater popped off. And there were moments like that in Endgame, like when when Captain America picked up Mjolnir, and people were like, oh, and they was going crazy. But then everybody was like, oh, what? Oh.
He got beat up.
Yeah, it was and then so Peter Parker has been gone for 5 years, and he's like 21 now, but he's going to school.
He's biologically 16.
Yeah, I've had people try to explain that, and I was like, but then if you see Far From Home, and you see Flash like buying alcohol illegally because yes, he's 21, and then MJ goes, oh, he snapped, and then she goes. And takes the alcohol back. I was like, shit, like that's gonna happen. So why would these guys be back in school? It doesn't make. Yeah, I know he's violent. He didn't age while he was in the quantum zone or whatever, but that's crazy to me. So I just the whole thing.
The time travel did not make sense, and the whole biggest plot hole was Captain America returning all the stuff. I'm like, okay, so he ran into Red Skull, a freaking Nazi.
Yeah. The whole thing was bad, and
I really didn't bother trying to pay attention to how the time travel worked, because it was like, we're going to fuck everyone up in the continuum, but then we're going to return the gems and everything will be fine. Okay, you sure you can do it like that? I don't care, man. Just get on with it.
Well, see, they kind of contradicted themselves anyway, because they say once you go back in time, that everything, all the separate things branch off into separate timelines. But then they also said that Captain America could go back and change the past, and it affected the present.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we have an old Captain America now here. I don't know.
So I mean, if that's a separate timeline, then how did he affect the present?
I got nothing.
Yeah, and no, I had a buddy of mine. Me and him were real cool, and I streamed with him a few times. And I was supposed to be on his channel. He had a big channel with like almost 30,000 YouTubes on. And because I didn't like Endgame and I dared question the time travel magic, he decided he didn't want to be friends with me anymore.
What?
And that was gay, man. I was like, that's gay as fuck, dude.
I've heard Infinity War is like 10 times better than Endgame.
Oh, Infinity War is dope to me. I love the children of Thanos. I was like, I mean,
it starts off with Thanos beating the shit out of Thor and Hulk.
Yeah, and obviously knocking Loki off and all that. I mean, it's like, I just, I love that. But let me see here. Okay, so television says, where can I find your comic books? Well, if you look in the description there is a Indiegogo link to SOS. It is actually in the description right there, and you can just click on that bad boy, and it should take you right there. And hopefully you can drop a few shekels on supporting Chimera here and the very, very talented Mr. Canales fan.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yes, but definitely check the description. And okay, good, great. Okay, so like I said, check that out. But matter of fact, it's about that time. We gotta wrap this one up. I could talk to you guys all day. This has been fun.
Same. I finally am having human contact with someone.
But Chimera, Mr. Canales, please let everyone know how they could reach out to you guys if they want to, follow you. And obviously, again, check the link in the description if you want to pick up a copy of the very hot SOS.
My username is Chimera Comics, one word, and we're working on getting Canales a Twitter account for like the 8th time.
Yeah, I follow you on Instagram. I know I follow Canales on Instagram. So it's.
I think it's Decimator's Art this time.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not me, because if it was actually me, they would probably ban it. It's just some other guy.
Nope, it's a fan. Yeah,
Canales,
who's really close to me and knows everything about me for some reason. It's really disturbing.
Yeah, he somehow has access to your phone and posts the photos.
Yes.
Man, that's creepy.
Well, I know Canales has a Instagram, so plug that, obviously.
Yes, visit me on Instagram, and you can also be my friend on Facebook if you still do that thing like it was 2010.
Yep.
Oh, yes. And I was like, there you go.
Mm.
So okay, so yeah, you heard it, folks. Add him on Facebook, and definitely follow that Instagram, because he posts very interesting things. I saw you were in Texas a few weeks ago or something.
I was in Texas. I visit the U.S. every year, actually, because my parents are in love with the country, and so am I. And so they visit the country, and they let me tag along.
Awesome.
And yeah, I got to hang out with Michael from the Abductables, and with Alejandro from Breslau. Yeah.
I didn't. You didn't. So you didn't get to see Richard C. Meyer, because I was like,
No. I you can only visit Richard C. Meyer if he wants you to visit. It's a pretty exclusive club.
He's very shy. I know he's very shy, but every now and again he pokes his head up out of the bubble. But guys, this was great. I appreciate both of you being here today. This was a fun conversation. Please, check out SOS on Indiegogo. Check that out and help support these creators. So Mr. Canales can do like 20 more books, because he's on everything now.
Yes, please.
And we got 4 volumes total for SOS.
Oh wow! Okay, so get volume 1 and pick up that ash can too. He's got what was the other name of the other book that you're promoting?
It is Argonauts #1.
Argonauts. All right. So yeah, check out both of those. Obviously, they are available to be purchased, and go ahead and snag those bad boys up. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. But if you want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on this YouTube channel. Everywhere is at Akari Press. And if you type in akaripress.com, it will take you directly to my Indiegogo campaign for my comic book series brand with the phenomenal Kanan White. We're on Teespring. We're on Amazon.com. The links to those are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Back SOS, guys.
Thank you.